This story shows the efforts of mankind, where all countries unite to prevent the destruction of the world by creating giant robots that are used to fight mega monsters that are trying to invade the Earth's resources. First, we will be explained two terms. Namely, Kaiju comes from Japanese, which means giant wild animals. And Jaeger comes from German meaning hunter. Then explained about the beginning of the Earth, being attacked by aliens from another dimension that came not from outer space, but through an interdimensional portal located in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, precisely the gap between two tectonic plates. The Kaiju attack first appeared in San Francisco Bay, so this was the first war between humans and wild monsters that took 6 days. In just a matter of a few days, one Kaiju destroyed 3 cities, and tens of thousands of lives were lost. 6 months later, the second Kaiju attack appeared in Manila, Philippines. Then the third attack hit Cabo continued, by the fourth attack and so on, which made the world chaotic. Finally, humanity realized that this horror would not stop, so that humans had to think about making new weapons. And all countries in the world had to unite to forget the competition for the survival of humanity. Finally, humans created their own monster in the form of a giant robot to fight the Kaiju attack. They call it the Jaeger program. Initially, Jaeger was controlled by one pilot, but the nerve load to connect with Jaeger was too heavy. So a new system using 2 pilots was implemented to connect to control the various sides of Jaeger's body mechanism. With the Jaeger program, humanity began to be able to stop Kaiju attacks around the world. An alarm was seen sounding, warning that there was a Kaiju that had just come out of the portal, so that 2 Jaeger pilots had to wake up to face the Category 3 Kaiju with the largest size ever. These 2 brothers named Raleigh Beckett and his brother Yancey Beckett. They are the pilots who control Jaeger, with the name Gypsy. They are not smart people, nor are they champion athletes. But they managed to control Jaeger and defeat Kaiju because they both have synchronized nerves so that both can compactly control Gypsy Jaeger together. They prepare to enter the cockpit of Gypsy Jaeger also, the crew also prepare, while Tendo, who gives directions and information from the control room. Then someone named Marshall is the leader of the Jaeger operation. The Jaeger control cockpit finally came down and was installed on the robot's body before it could operate.
Engage pilots, pilot protocol.
Then the Jaeger pilots were required to synchronize the minds of both pilots through a neural bridge and allow both of them to see each other's past memories. The deeper the memories that were intertwined, the more compact they would be in controlling the Jaeger. After the minds of the 2 pilots were connected, the Gypsy Jaeger could operate fully. Jaeger was taken to the bay and then walked through the stormy sea.
There are things you can't fight. Acts of God. Jaeger. Suddenly, you can fight them.
In the middle of the sea, there was a ship that was caught in a storm, and they argued about the nearest destination. Then the crew of the ship was shocked because suddenly they were blocked by a very large Kaiju figure that appeared from the water. They became very panicked and double panicked after Gypsy Danger appeared behind them. Now they are in the middle of a monster fight. Fortunately, Gypsy Danger took the ship like a toy, moving it backwards, and a fight ensued.
pizza.
Gypsy Danger was cornered after losing his arm, while the Kaiju continued to attack, brutally, tearing apart Gypsy Danger's body and taking Yancey Bucket's life. Raleigh did not expect to lose his brother, so now he had to fight alone to face the increasingly brutal Kaiju. Then, with the remaining strength, tried to fire his laser. And finally, the crew in the control room lost track. Sometime later, on the foggy beach, a grandfather and grandson were seen looking for Patrick's gold with a metal detector that suddenly sounded loudly. It turned out to be Gypsy Danger, which was badly damaged. Raleigh Pun came out with the remaining strength and fell unconscious on the cold, frozen sand of the beach. Five years later, Marshall was seen holding a meeting with world leaders who explained that they would stop the Jaeger program because they considered the Jaeger program was no longer reliable. Now they will try with the Wall of Life program, which according to world leaders is more promising. They also told Marshall to move all remaining Jaegers to the final base located in Hong Kong. However, world leaders will still fund the Jaeger program for the next 8 months during the construction of the Beach Wall program. And after that, the Jaeger program will not receive any more funding support. Moving to Alaska, California, where the Wall of Life is being built, Raleigh, a former Gypsy Danger pilot, is seen, now working under the Wall program, which aims to hold back Kaiju. During the break, workers, including Raleigh, saw the news of the emergence of Category 4 Kaiju in Sydney, Australia. This monster easily penetrates the Wall of Life that is claimed to be able to withstand Kaiju, but turns out to be as fragile as biscuits. Seeing this, the workers become pessimistic because the wall they are currently building is not as expected. Ironically, the Kaiju that attacked Australia was successfully paralyzed by a Jaeger named Striker Eureka, piloted by a father and son named Herc and Chuck Hansen. Not long after, a helicopter landed outside. It was Marcel Marshall who came to meet Raleigh to invite him to become a Jaeger pilot again. The traumatized Raleigh initially refused because he remembered his brother's death. But after finally agreeing, after Marshall said the world would end, "You choose to die in the ruins of the wall or struggle to find dollars on YouTube." They flew to Hong Kong and arrived at a Jaeger headquarters called Shutterdown Hong Kong. Both were greeted by an officer named Mako Mori from Japan. Inside, Raleigh also met a research team named Dr. Newton and Dr. Herman. Then they entered the large room where the Jaeger garage was also seen, a giant clock above them. The object was the doomsday clock that showed predictions about the time of the next Kaiju attack. Marshall explained that previously, this place could accommodate 30 Jaegers, but now only 4 are left. The first Jaegers, with the name Crimson Typhoon, assembled in China, which was driven by 3 Wei Tang brothers. The second Jaegers, named Cherno Alpha, the heaviest and oldest first-generation Jaegers, driven by the couple Salsa and Alex. Then they met Herc and Chuck. They are the fastest Striker Eureka Jaeger pilots in the world, the latest generation who managed to defeat Kaiju 10 times. Marshall explained his plan to carry 2,400 pounds of thermonuclear warheads on Striker Eureka's back, aimed at destroying the underwater portal and the Kaiju inside, while the other Jaegers were tasked with protecting the package carrier. However, Raleigh had doubts, because a few years ago, they had tried to penetrate the portal, but always failed. Then Marshall convinced him again, because now he had a better team. Sure, his plan would succeed in destroying the underwater portal. In the research room, Herman explains that the frequency of Kaiju appearances is getting faster and faster, because according to his predictions, in the next 7 days, 2 Kaiju will appear at once and will increase over time until a mass destruction apocalypse occurs. So, with the increasing traffic of the interdimensional portal tunnel, it is open long enough and allows them to insert bombs into the portal and detonate it. Newton looks pessimistic hearing Herman because there is no complete information about the portal. Also, the kaiju that appears has the same DNA, or is a clone creature. So he has a crazy idea for the unification of nerves, with the kaiju brain like two Jaeger pilots, with the aim of seeing what these wild creatures go through. In another area, Mako takes Rayleigh to see Gypsy Danger, which has been repaired and upgraded by adding 2 reactor cores.
Gypsy Danger.
It has a double-core nuclear reactor.
The next day, Mako meets Marshall, asking that he be the co-pilot of Gypsy Danger to accompany Rayleigh. But Marshall firmly refuses, because Mako still has unstable emotions that can be very dangerous. While eating, Cuck sternly warns Rayleigh not to be a burden on duty, which shows hatred because of Riley's failure in the mission 5 years ago. In the research room, Newton, who is upset because his idea was not responded to, finally does a drive with Kaiju's brain alone. In Kaiju's memory, he sees the world of Kaiju, which turns out to be his prediction that Kaiju are monsters, cloned by aliens in another dimension to invade Earth. The next day, Riley prepares to do a nerve test in the Gypsy Danger cockpit. Suddenly, Mako appears and has been allowed to be his co-pilot. So they then prepare to do a drive to unite their minds. At the same time, Herman comes to give news that Newton's idea has succeeded. Then Newton tells that these kaiju do not attack randomly, but they get orders because they are used as tools by aliens who are trying to colonize the Earth. The kaiju that previously attacked categories 1 to 4 were only the beginning, because the aliens were preparing the final weapon to destroy all life on Earth. To get more complete information, Marshall told him to drive again, but Newton needed a kaiju brain that was still alive and intact. So Marshall told him to find it, and explained about someone named Hannibal Chow, who sold anything on the black market. Back inside the Jaeger, when the drive was unified, Raleigh saw Mako's past. In that memory, he saw when little Mako witnessed the kaiju attack in Japan that killed both of her parents. This little girl was very scared, making her even more trapped in the memory, and unexpectedly activated the Gypsy Danger weapon system, ready to burn the workers who were like little girls. Everyone panicked. Raleigh tried to calm Mako, who was still scared. In the control room, Tendo ordered an immediate evacuation, and the marshal who came told him to manually unplug the drive breaker cable. Finally, Mako managed to regain consciousness with a chaotic mind that made her faint. In another place, Newton searches for Hannibal's whereabouts according to the picture given by Marshall, and finds the place like a small shop. But after passing through a secret door, Newton finally meets Hannibal Chow in it. But unfortunately, Hannibal does not have a complete and fresh brain. Back at the headquarters, the previous incident was very dangerous for all of them, so Cuck was angry and insulted both of them, making Raleigh lose his patience, and a fight broke out between them. Fortunately, Marshall immediately came to stop the fight. In the office, Marshall decided to relieve Mako of her duties, making her sad and walking out of the room. Raleigh realized that the main reason Marshall forbade Mako from becoming a Jaeger pilot was because Mako was his adopted daughter. The memory was seen when Marshall saved little Mako, who lost her parents. Marshall loves Mako like his own child and realizes that being a Jaeger pilot has a heavy risk and does not want to lose. Raleigh meets Mako in the garage to give her an understanding that the first experience is indeed difficult when two pilots share memories in the drive because they will know each other's past and feelings. Suddenly, a warning was heard with the emergence of Kaiju in the Hong Kong Sea. Not just one, but two at once. Marshall divided the tasks to Crimson Typhoon, and Cherno Alpha to fight it, while Striker Eureka was behind as a bomb carrier to the portal location. While Mako and Reilly were ordered to stay silent at headquarters, watching YouTube. The three Jaegers then walked towards the Hong Kong coast to block the Kaiju, who was trying to get to the mainland, and the fight began. The two Jaegers had difficulty, so Chuck couldn't wait to join the fight because he saw the two Jaegers were already cornered. So he and his father finally decided to join the fight. Unfortunately, Crimson Typhoon finally fell, while Cherno Alpha was hit by an acid attack and damaged, then attacked by two Kaiju simultaneously and destroyed. Striker Eureka entered the battle arena and fought back. When about to release the missile, Kaiju released a shockwave that turned off the electricity in Striker Eureka's body and all of Hong Kong. The Striker became completely paralyzed, making everyone panic. Seeing this, Raleigh asked the Marshal to lower the Gypsy danger because this Jaeger was an old version of the analog type that was powered by two nuclear reactors, so it was not affected by the shockwave. In the Hong Kong Sea, both pilots were trapped inside the body of the paralyzed Striker Eureka. They tried to get out to distract the Kaiju by shooting flares to make the monster in front angry and about to attack. Fortunately, Gypsy Danger came at the right time, so this became the first fighting duet for these pilots.